pre-signature of the peace agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan under US auspices was clearly a breakthrough. An agreement was reached on the transit road that will connect Azerbaijan with its enclave Yerevan, the Trump route. While other geopolitical players realign with new realities on the ground, the West, the EU specifically, unwaveringly welcomes the prospect of peace and stability. But there are unaddressed questions that beg for answers. The ambassador of the Czech Republic to Armenia sits down with the voice of Yerevan to explore the new dynamics in the region, a redistributing pie of influence, and the cost Armenia had to pay for an agreement that is yet to be implemented from the Western perspective. Ambassador, thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for having me.
Armenia and Azerbaijan pre-signed a peace agreement under the US auspices that, according to some estimates, will bring peace to South Caucasus. Others, however, believe that it leaves Armenia even more defenseless than before. What's Czechia's, as an EU and NATO member country, stance on the agreement?
Thank you once again for having me, and thank you for the question. What can I say? We all were hoping for a progress, and we have seen progress. We have seen progress whose final destination and the end point is a stable, long-lasting peace. This is actually something that the Czech Republic and the EU has been hoping for, helping towards, and we support whatever it takes actually to reach this final destination.
Dropping of claims in international courts where Armenia has the upper hand, UMA's possible withdrawal, Armenian prisoners of war still in Baku cells. Will peace actualize as justice stands by?
And this is actually the main question. As I said, like, what can I and anyone else say about the pre-signed peace deal other than we welcome it, we encourage continuation of negotiations, we encourage swift action, we hope for a fast ratification. These things are obvious. I mean, we Europeans, we Czechs want this region to be peaceful, this region to be stable, and this is in our interest as well. This is not only in Armenia's and Azerbaijan's and other countries as they declare interests, but this is also in the European and the world's interest. This is quite clear. Now, the main question is how realistic it is actually. How soon we will have this long-lasting peace, how soon we will have this stable South Caucasus. And I can just say that we hope. I can just say that we have been watching closely. I can just say that we hope that continuation of the direct negotiations between Armenia and Azerbaijan will lead to quick signature and the ratification and the implementation. Armenia, I've been here for 2.5 years and I have seen what Armenia has done to reach this point and what Armenia has done to reach this peace, stable region that we all hope for. So I hope that whatever has Armenia given and whatever has both sides actually done will be crowned by something that is really long-lasting and sustainable and stable. Sustainable and stable. We will see though. As you know, it hasn't been signed yet. There are some conditions as far as I know still. So we are closely following and we are hoping for the best, and we are ready to help as intermediators again if any of those two sides, which are the main players actually, Armenia and Azerbaijan, it needs to be a deal between Armenia and Azerbaijan. But if any of the sides actually needs our active role, we are certainly ready for that.
The West has always supported the peace process. In statements, they have nudged the sides to reach an agreement. But what about an active involvement? Financial assistance was there, but pressure or deals that might hint at justice have not been on the scene. In a sense, has the West helped to reach a deal that has been brought about at the expense of its own value system, where justice has been sacrificed to peace? Speaking of interests, the US will invest in infrastructure, the so-called TRIP or the Trump route, considering the important security component that such infrastructure has. Is Czechia interested in investing once the peace agreement hopefully is signed?
As I said, we are interested very much in the stable and peaceful region that serves as the crossroad of peace, actually. Armenia's location is very interesting and very important for Europe as well. And we are interested in the various transportation routes to be realized. That's one thing. Again, like we have an idea, and we have an idea that everyone agrees on. Now, the more difficult level, it's the practice. We have been hearing a lot about the crossroad of peace and various infrastructural projects that are involved in this certainly valuable and very interesting initiative. And now, the only task to do is to put it in practice. Some things have been already going on. I mean, you've certainly heard about the south-north connection, where the EU is actually engaged, and the Kajaran-Sisian road has been financed at least partly through an European Investment Bank. But there are other infrastructural projects that needs to be built, that needs to be realized. And of course, we're interested as an industrial country, so our companies are interested. This is interesting from the business point of view, but this is of course interesting from the political point of view. However, besides this peace, this crossroad of peace and various infrastructure projects that actually are included in this, Armenia plans other infrastructural projects that we can help with. So the Czech Republic and the Czechs experts and Czech companies, we are quite strong, for example, in nuclear energy. You have the nuclear power plant in Metsamor. You have some plans to build new sources, new nuclear, probably smaller facilities. We are also interested in this field as well. We are interested in improving the safety of the Metsamor nuclear power plant. And Czech companies have been very deeply involved in this field. Another field where Armenia needs and is planning infrastructural development is, for example, public transportation. You probably know from your own travels, when you travel to the Czech Republic, when you travel to Prague, the public transportation works a bit differently there, actually. We have trams, we have the metro, the subway, and so on. We have trains. Actually, the Czech Republic has, I think, the second most dense railway system in Europe. This is something that we are strong at, and Armenia needs. And I hope, for example, that soon we will have new new metro trains here in Yerevan, and those trains will be Czech trains. They will be Škoda trains, and they will provide all the comfort and efficiency that the metro provides to the tourists like you in Prague. So it's not just about the trip with the double P. It's not just about the Crossroads of Peace initiative. It is also about other fields where we as Czechs and we as Europeans can contribute to developing of this beautiful country.
Blockaded Armenia, even though underprivileged by the conditions of the agreement, sees it as an opportunity to become the crossroad for bigger players, merging their economic interests by providing a complex infrastructure that will allow to enhance ties between Europe and Central Asia, bringing them closer than ever before. The Armenian government is exploring multi-modal corridors connecting the Black Sea with the Caspian Sea, extending eastward towards Central Asia's growing markets. Is the West willing to become a part of this huge project? Azerbaijan and Türkiye should open borders with Armenia for it. If the West weighs in, it could gain more from the coming peace agreement than they have calculated for. Armenia-EU relations. According to the EU High Representative Kaja Kallas, they are on an all-time high. But where do we stand realistically speaking, if we put mutual admiration and diplomatic compliments aside?
Yeah, let's not speak about the compliments again, because like diplomacy, unfortunately, is a lot about the form and about the compliments, and sometimes the content is missing. However, the content is not missing in the Armenia-EU relationship, actually. We have a solid ground. We have a very solid ground. CEPA, the comprehensive agreement between Armenia and the EU. It's a big deal, actually. It's a big agreement covering many spheres, and we haven't implemented it fully. So I think that there is a lot of, as we say, meat in the Armenia-EU relationship. Some of the meat has been used already, and some of the meat needs to be used, actually. And I can speak more in detail about the meat that has been used and the meat that hasn't been used yet and that should be used. We also notice that Armenia has taken a clear stance, or more precisely put, the Armenian government has taken a clear stance. The Armenian people, and through the Armenian parliament members, have adopted a law that was signed by all necessary representatives, and the law basically says that we are interested in the EU, and the EU sees it. The EU sees it as a signal. Diplomacy is about signals, so this is an example of signals, actually. The EU sees it as a signal. And also, it's not just a signal. I personally, and my colleagues, my EU colleagues, we meet Armenian people every day. We at least try to talk to them. And we see that you know what Europe is. You're interested in Europe. You are a part of Europe, at least culturally, historically, and so on. And you will, and I mean, you want to continue to be a part of Europe. And the polls actually show the same. I mean, it's pretty clear. It's not just the politicians who are interested in the EU. It's the people of Armenia. Just before this, I did some research because I'm a good professional, just like you. And I found out that in the latest poll, actually 66% of Armenians, 66%, so 2/3, are for the EU membership. The very latest poll done by the IRI in July, actually, so just a couple of weeks ago, says that 49% of Armenians would vote in a referendum, because as you know, any membership in any organization like the EU would need to go through a referendum here in Armenia. So 49% would be for an EU membership. This is wonderful. This is very encouraging, but at the same time, we are not at the stage yet. We are not there. We are not speaking about membership, actually. We are speaking about membership as a goal, as a strategic goal, maybe. We are speaking about it as an idea, as a strategic direction, okay?
A target to strategically plan towards.
Exactly, but like we have actually other fields, other topics, other spheres to really implement way before Armenia becomes an EU member.
Especially that for that interest in the referendum, the Armenian people would have to also sign under the price and the geopolitical risks that they are, willing to pay for. Would you say that the EU readiness, willingness to support Armenia, to leverage those risks would be commensurate with the Armenian people's desire to join the EU?
Again, Askican, any peace is not sustainable and is impossible without a deal between Armenia and Azerbaijan. I mean, we're not, sometimes, some parties say that Europeans are trying to interfere into like domestic, this is not true. We are not interfering into domestic policy of Armenia. We are not interfering, other than saying that we are interested in a stable, long-lasting peace, which needs to be struck. I don't know how to say it in English, actually.
If strike a deal is what you mean, I guess.
It needs to be done by the countries which are directly involved, by Armenia and Azerbaijan.
The ambassador made it clear that peace is a requirement for EU aspirations to transform into investment, in a rare show of diplomatic frankness. Armenia and Iran signed a number of memoranda of understanding today. Relations between the collective West and Iran are strained, especially after the recent Israel-Iran conflict that erupted on a large scale. Is there a perception in the West that despite the common value system, despite the Armenian government and the people's desire to become someday in the future a part of the EU, the immediate neighborhood cannot be ignored either?
Sure, some Europeans are a bit ignorant, but most Europeans are people who see the world how it is, who think about the world how it is. And for us, I can tell you, for us as the Czech Republic, the relationship with our neighbors has always been the priority of our foreign policy. It's the topic number one, actually. So I don't see why it shouldn't be the priority for Armenia. I totally understand that Armenia needs to have, for the long-term prosperity, needs to have good relationship with all neighbors. It needs to have borders open, communications, and so on and so on. Iran is one of your four neighbors. So I'm happy to see that the Armenian-Iranian relationship has deepened today after the two-day visit of the Iranian president.
By some magic, the Armenian government has managed to balance US-Iran interest, which was another major concern. Hopefully, the EU is okay with what's going on with Iran now as well.
You Armenians are very good in balancing, and we understand why.
Russia would not agree with you.
I don't know, you should ask them. I think that the reasonable Russians would also agree that you're good in balancing.
Thank you one more time for this opportunity.
Thank you one more time for this opportunity as well.